So we're going to talk through paperwork orders today. So this is that, if you've ever heard the term, well, this is the way we've always done it. And we hear that often. What I want you to know is this isn't about completely shifting your entire business and changing everything that you do. This is about taking what you currently do and applying systems and a process that works along with an operating system that'll ensure your success. And that's what Optimum's ideal goal is for you today. Our operating system is designed to give you clarity and understanding of what's happening in your day-to-day operation, because we can give you visibility that you haven't had before. And even in some cases, paper and a combination of Excel spot worksheets, or you might be using group texting. There might be different ways we have to send information, like how to get to a specific location. You know, we hear this all the time, dropping a pin. So when I walk out of your office this morning with my 3 to 4 work orders to go out and do for the day, unfortunately, I still don't know where those locations are. In fact, I rely heavily on you to be able to give me that pin to get to that field. See, think about it. They know that you have the knowledge as your technician. They know that you know where things are. If I've been here a long time, I might very well know where a large number of those things are. But when I don't, who do I have to turn to? Typically, it's you, the owner. And that's what we try to solve the problem for. Imagine, if you will, what does it look like with paper, in the sense that everything that I do is going to fall back on your desk when I get the work done and when I turn in that piece of paper. Now, you may have a very strict standard and say every one of these work orders is turned in on a day-to-day business process, which is, completely fine. However, then what does that mean? Your workload increases, their workload continues to increase, especially when we're in the middle of service season. And at the end of the day, what's required is that someone needs to stop and review every one of those pieces of paper once they've been turned in. So we see it all the time, right? Like, we're going to analyze what that process looks like today. Let me walk you through this, what we see and what we know to be true once customers like ours have made this shift, and how that makes an impact in their daily business. So for example, if I were to come into your office this morning, maybe the 3 or 4 of us technicians are going to be there to get your direction. You, or maybe a senior technician, is going to give us our assignments for the day, and we're going to be handed those paperwork orders to go out and do our work. Now, one thing that's so unique is that I've seen this firsthand, is that I may not even make it to my truck with those pieces of paper before I've already forgotten where I laid them down before I get to my truck. And I mean, to say that, it happens all the time. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I have no idea what's wrong on any one of those pieces of paper until I get to the field. And what we know by that is that now, how am I going to effectively load my truck to make sure that I can take care of the work that needs to get done? In other words, we're recording what the customer said to us when the customer called in with the problem, right? That is the key to that piece of paper being successful in the beginning. Did we record accurate information? Do we know exactly where we're going? Do we know exactly what field it is? And are we able to diagnose it as best as possible before we head to the field? Okay. So in order for us to be able to diagnose that work order, to know exactly what's going on in the field, we are going to have accurate information written down to go to that field and effectively do our job. We need to know what we're taking to the field in order to fix the problem. So did we do a good job on the very front end of that piece of paper? Did we take that message down accurately? Do we know exactly what we need to do? Who do we need to contact? And what's the next step? Now, once I have possession of it, I've hopefully loaded my truck up so that I don't have to make a return trip, but we hear that all the time. They get to the field, they forgot to restock their vehicle, so we don't have all the parts that we need because we weren't paying attention to the information that was given to us when we left the shop this morning. Now, once we're in the field, we do our repairs. We are then holding this technician accountable to fill out that piece of paper. Now, I've taken a vote all across the country, many sales meetings. I know this to be true. I have yet to get a single technician to raise their hand who likes to do paperwork. So paperwork in itself has its own challenge. By all means, I may not be good at writing. I may not even know what what to write, especially when it comes to what the problem was and how to articulate it in a way that's going to make sense to you when you go back and read it. So what do? We accommodate for those technicians. We continue to say, well, just try to tell me exactly what you did, or try to give me some idea of what parts you use so that we can accurately bill that customer for what you did in the field. The breakdown is immediately happening, and we're still trying to be as accurate as possible, and this piece of paper still hasn't made it back to your office. I have now left job 1. I decided to wait till later on in the day to fill out that work order, and I've headed to job 2. I get to job 2, and now there's a fire 5 miles from me that needs to get fixed right away. A pivot's run onto a road, or the air conditioner's not working. It doesn't matter the problem. The reality is I'm going to immediately leave where I am to go do something else, and now I've left whatever work I've done in the first place and gone to the second location. Now we have multiple things going on at once. I'm expected to take a blank work order to fill it out because I got that job when I was in the field. Now I've got to fill out a blank piece of paper and make sure I accurately record that. Once then I complete that, I try to go back to my original job, and I find out somebody down the road needs my help, my assistance. This is happening all day. We hear this from every single dealer that we talk to. It is not a routine business that we're in. We are solving problems as we go, and if we're in the area and we can support each other, we do exactly that. But what does that do to your business? Because now we're back to this piece of paper that we're expecting that technician to turn in order for us to be able to accurately bill a customer that we've done work for. And it is important because they are our priority. Our customers, the crop, the machine running the right way, we're ensuring all those things, checking the box as often as possible. And anytime we have an error, something doesn't get fixed right the first time, how do we go back to see what we did on the first job? This is just another example of paper being very binding. It doesn't allow us to have flexibility and to see, oh, the last time John was here, he fixed this, that didn't fix it. He was here 2 days ago. Now what do I do? Because paper is only as good as the piece of paper in front of the person using it, and then where it goes from one stage to the next. So original work orders recorded, handed out to your technician. They go to the field. They write down whatever they did. We see this often. They're sitting at a table in the office the next morning, 2 mornings later, a week later, and we're giving them a hard time. We need those work orders. So they're going and trying to remember, what did I do on that pivot? What was wrong with it? What were all the parts that I used? How long do I think I was there? This is how they're recording work and how they're recording parts being used for your business. Now you are supporting this because, again, they're very intelligent. They've got the know-how. They know what they did, but how do they remember? I mean, just to be clear, when I run 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 calls in one day, how am I going to remember what I did on the first call, the 4th call, and the 10th call if I'm not filling it out right then and there? That is the importance of software, because software puts a tool in your technician's hands that streamlines the process. See, our job at Optimum is to use our operating system in a way that fits your technician's style of work. In other words, if at the end of the day I could speak my notes into a system that would actually record what I did, help me articulate the parts that I used, ensure that the pictures that were taken are attached to that job, and immediately upon completion of that job, give you as the owner visibility to exactly what I just did in the field at that very moment. That is the shift. Now, many will challenge that it is a very complex process. It's hard to shift. It's hard to change. How do we get our technicians to buy in? Well, it comes from this. It comes from hiring and utilizing and partnering with a team like Optimum Field Service Solutions. Our operating system and our team ensure your team's success. That's what we hold true in every implementation that we do. We want you, no different than you are striving for full success and completion of jobs that you're doing for your customer, is exactly the way we treat every one of our customers. We have a very energetic, thriving team working for you every single step of the way. Frontline support all the way through to ensuring everything works exactly the way you would expect it to work. That is the optimum promise. That is the promise I'm making to you today. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would encourage you to take our business assessment. This will give you a better picture of exactly where you are today and how we can help you tomorrow. So please click on the link in the description below, fill out the business assessment, and see where you rank today with what you're currently doing, and let us reach back out and show you where we can get you tomorrow. That's what our commitment is today. Thank you.